What's up, everybody? My name's Mike Sjogren, here with my co-host,
Emanuele, Pani.
We're part of a group of specialized real estate investors you've probably never heard of.
We didn't start with deep pockets or wealthy families, and we don't rely on 401ks, mutual funds, or traditional real estate investing.
In fact, many of us don't even own the properties that fund our freedom. If you ask the money experts out there, they'd say what we do is impossible, yet it's happening every single day.
It's happening through a new niche called short-term rentals.
We are Short-Term Rental Nation, and these are our secrets.
What's going on, STR Nation? This is your brother from another mother, Emanuele Pani, joined by my good buddy Mike Riley today. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing awesome. Pollen's getting me in North Carolina, so I sound a little under the weather, but it's just the pollen, I swear. But we had a great show today, and I'm doing great.
Yeah, but the mindset is strong. That's all that matters, you know. Like sometimes we ask ourselves, right? Like, why are we allowing ourselves to be sick right now, right? That's what Dave Conway always talks about. He's like, why are you allowing yourself to be sick right now? And you're like, bro, I'm just sick. And he's like, no, you're allowing it, which is an interesting concept, right? Mindset is everything. And there's some parts of it that are still clicking for me. That's one of those things for me. I'm like, your body just gets sick. It's like, nah, it's your mindset. I'm like, okay, Dave, I'm working on a lot of other things right now. So I'll start working on that next. But I'm excited for the show today. It was the first time we had 3 people on the show. In all disclosure, we didn't know one of the person was going to be on there. So it was a bit of a surprise in terms of like just the size of it. So we did our best to just juggle the conversation, but it was super interesting. We touched on a lot of stuff, man. Like we talked about hotels, micro resorts, and then how to start and run an STR meetup, which if you're trying to become a center of influence or point of interest or person of interest in your market, is definitely something that you want to look into. And super cheap, really, because it's just giving the time, giving your experience, and being consistent. There's really nothing else that comes to it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was a good show. What?
Yeah.
You got any tips or any? I know you're sick.
Brian's awesome. I've known him for a while. We haven't had too much time to hang out, but today was fun. Kyle and Allie, obviously know them really well, but what they're doing with the meetups, I think is really cool. Just like expanding, the more that we can help grow the short-term rental community. And like you and I know through the screens, you know, a lot, we get to hang out too at events and stuff, but consistently doing meetups in local areas is just going to be able to grow the short-term rental community and just make short-term rentals more favored. There's so many regulations. There's so many like negative comments you see in the news about short-term rentals, but these meetups and really what their goal is to grow the community so that we can spread the good word of the good hosts like you, me, and them. So
it's just a good practice, right? Yeah, the good practice. And just also another thing, which when I started this guys 14 years ago, it was a lonely place. There was nobody to talk to about it. There was nobody that knew anything. You were kind of boxed out of the hotel space because you're not really running a hotel, you're running vacation rentals. And so like again, now there is the YouTube University and our show and a lot of other shows, and there's so much that you can go into. But finding that local people in terms of also like referrals for all kinds of things, right? So it's super important. So yeah, man, I think we should get into the show.
Let's do it.
What's going on, STR Nation? This is your host, Emanuele Pani. I'm joined with Mike Riley. And now we have a full house, guys. We got Kyle and Allie and our good friend Brian joining us. Guys, give us a little intro. Some of you have been on the show. Brian hasn't, but everybody else, give me a quick intro, what you've been up to, and then we'll dive into the show.
Hey everyone, Brian Hatcher here. I'm the founder of Elite Escapes. We are a travel company that partners with resorts. I manage them all over the US, as well as Hawaii, Fiji, Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Currently focused on development of unique short-term rentals moving forward. Excited to be here today.
Good to have you, man.
Happy to be here.
Hi, guys. I'm Allie Fugatt, joined by my husband, Kyle Fugatt. Kyle and I are based in Georgia. We host in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And then we also own a boutique hotel in Copper Hill, Tennessee, about 15 minutes from our STR market. And so currently we're focused on building that, all the back end operations and everything for our hotel that launched this year. And we're focused on that actually in acquisition mode for the next deal for this year.
Awesome. Mr. Riley, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm pumped for today. Obviously, know Kyle and Allie very well from coaching in STR Secrets. And then Brian, you and I have hung out a little bit at some of the conferences. So excited to talk about what's new, what's going on with you guys. The hotel a little bit, Kyle and Allie, right? Talking about that, but then also the meetups that you guys are doing all over the country. So good show.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm stoked. So last time Kali and Isle were on, and Ali, sorry. When Kali and Ali were on, you had just closed on the hotel. You went through some extensive renovations. Give us kind of the lowdown of where you guys are at now, and maybe some quick lessons learned in terms of like how do you take down a monster of that size? Because how many units, how many keys do you guys have?
It's 42 keys.
Yeah.
So
it's a
it's
big
42
boy.
keys. It's 35 rentable rooms. So we turned a bunch of them into amenity rooms. So we have a game room, a big lobby, a gym, and a washroom. And so we launched in November, and then we hit slow season. So it was like a ramp up, slow season, and now the gates are just opening for busy season, which is amazing. And so we're staffing it up. So we've had a couple of cleaners, head cleaner, part-time cleaner, and so now we're kind of rolling into busy season. So we actually had another part-time cleaner start today to start training, ironically. And then, I mean, it's been incredible. The full support of the town is behind us. So you got the fun side of like community building. Taking down a monster like that takes a lot of relationships. If you don't have all of your own money, so we syndicated it, raised money from past relationships and other deals and stuff. So I would say like the community and the relationships is what helps you launch something like that. So STR Secrets, 100%. Mike Sugar, Mike Riley, Matt, you has really been there to like help coach us and like have us prevent, the issues. I would say for me, a big learning lesson is in hospitality, you're managing people. You're always managing people. So along with the revenue and the bookings and all that, at the end of the day, you have to have a good staff. So Allie's takeaway is probably a little different because she designed the entire thing. I did not. So I'll probably leave that there as community relationships and you're managing people.
Love that. What was your experience, Ali?
My experience it's been amazing to be a part of such like a big project that is so deeply rooted within a community. When we bought the project, honestly, for us as investors, we were looking at this potential revenue maker, right? But when you get into something like this, you actually see the impact that you have on the community and the voice that you can be, as well as the representation. So that's been fun to dive into that and make those connections within the community. And also, I think my biggest lesson was definitely that jump from like the short terminal space to the hotel space. Mentally, you think about, oh, I've done 20 other houses. I've helped design these houses, like it's fine. And I was like, these are small rooms. It's no big deal. And legitimately taking down a monster was a whole different ballgame. A lot of lessons learned during that. Super thankful for those lessons, but not only for myself, but I also get to teach other people how not to do the same thing and expedite their process now. But I'd say that another like just big lesson in general, I think, or something that we should have done better on was publicity. I think that we didn't take into account, this is our first large project like this. So I think the one thing I could definitely share and pass on to others for, value is start with the publicity earlier on in the project and just let people follow along with everything that's going on and build that following early on. And just go ahead and launch something, launch a website. Doesn't matter if it's finished, like no one cares. Just get out there and not wait until everything's perfect. Just throw it out there.
Oh man, we're like 6 minutes into the show, and there's a lot of golden nuggets already, which I love. I love because again, like I think there is an element of life where we want to like kind of protect ourselves until we feel comfortable enough. And if you notice, the people that do go viral, the people that just have a lot of followers, is those people that are comfortable kind of showing all of it, right? Like you just let people into your life and you like have this assumption that you're like, nobody's going to give a shit about my life. And yet people are like, can I see? Like what you guys do, right? And like, can I like really? And then you like get to share the experience. And again, like people love giving their opinion, right? And so you kind of like are allowing them
No matter what
to
it is.
have no matter what it is, no matter that you ask for it or not, no matter that they have experience, right? And what I think about is, as you guys know, I was born and raised in Italy, and there is always that image that I have in my mind of anytime there is construction going on is those two old guys, they're sitting with their hands behind their back, just looking over the construction site like they don't know anything, right? And they're just there talking, right? And that happens. That to me is a universal truth. In any country, any culture, there's going to be your version of that, and you want to take advantage of it. So I love, and I'm super proud of you guys because you guys have absolutely killed it. Before we move to Brian, question for you is, how did you make the decision on how many rooms to turn into amenities, and how did you justify it in terms of like adding to the bottom line? Because again, most people are thinking like, I'm going to get rid of spaces to make more rooms, where you guys are like, we're actually going to get rid of a couple of rooms to add amenities. So kind of walk us through how that happened, who convinced who, did Kyle sleep on the couch? Like, how did
Yeah.
this happen?
Yeah, I'll take that. It was my idea to kind of throw this stuff into the mix when we first had this like big idea that came through that started becoming popular, right? Like, oh, we know short-term rentals. We came from the multifamily space. Like, what if they had a cute little baby and we had a boutique hotel? And so, but then it was like we wanted to bring the experience that we were offering at our short-term rentals into that boutique hotel space. So our vision for this hotel has always been affordable, comfortable, but it's also meant to have that cabin experience for the guests that are staying there. So, and an elevated experience, right? They're not going to get the same experience if they go down to the Marriott. They're not going to get that fire pit experience or the game or whatever. And then when we toured the hotel, it just actually just like the universe aligned because there was already a room on the top floor where they had knocked out a wall, had two rooms put together. So I was like, okay, this is great. Already set up basically for that game room space. And then we just started kind of interviewing the people that were working there. What are people asking for? What do you think they'd like? And that came the washroom. So we offer free guest laundry there because our avatar is bikers, hikers, and whitewater rafters. So they have wet, clothes they want to dry or wash, whatever they're doing. Because previously the cleaning staff was actually washing guest laundry for a price. And we're like, okay, like, well, what if we just added some value and they got to do it for free? And then the last piece was again just like doing research on our competitors. The other hotels have a free fitness center. Well, so if we take one room away, we offer a free fitness center that immediately also adds value to our guests. So now they get like that full thing, a full hotel experience with the laundry and the fitness center, but then they're also getting the full cabin experience because we have a massive fire pit and game room as well too.
I love that. And again, it's one of the things that we talk about all the time because people start looking at deals and they start underwriting numbers. And my question is always like, who are you serving? One, and two, who's your competition? Because so many people start underwriting numbers and I'm like, how are you competing? They're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, what are the finishings in this place or that place? They're like, I don't know. And again, it's the numbers are great, but again, you guys are like, well, the fitness center, everybody else has it. So you're like, it's going to hurt us to not have it more than it hurts us to sacrifice it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I would also point out that like when you deal with the mom and pop shop, we went in and we realized that they're having like a storage room. And they had a paint room where they literally wash paint out in the tub. And so you walk in there and the tub is red and black. And it's like, I can't do anything with this place. It stinks. And so I think we decided to go with the gym like halfway through the project. We're like, what if we took one? I mean, it's 42 keys. If we took one room and added all this extra value, what would that do? And so maybe it doesn't change the price of the room per night, but like it's more occupancy or it's just more drive or it just leaves somebody with that extra, like, hey, I can go jump on the treadmill before I leave, or I can go wash my clothes before I leave. So I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, like if it's 10 units versus 47 or 42 or whatever, like your decisions are going to be a lot more effective to the bottom line. But at the end of the day, if you underwrite conservatively and then you change the idea for one room, it's not really going to change it that much. And if you
Yeah.
add the value, you're going to increase your bottom line. So
Yeah.
I would throw that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I love
think
that.
there's huge things to mention, like when you're taking other things into consideration, like room design, what you're actually putting into the rooms. Like you have to also look at your competitors too. So like when we looked at our competitors, something that our competitors weren't offering was like a nice lounge chair, right? In the room. And I know like from us traveling, a lounge chair to read or work in or whatever is like huge. So we put a lounge chair in our rooms. It's like we instantly like are appealing to somebody that is actually coming to that comfortable state versus somebody that's just looking for a bed.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Perfect. So, Mr. Brian,
E, how's it going?
your intro, awesome, bro. I'm super like I had to stop myself from asking you questions as you were introducing yourself because I actually had no idea, and I've met you a bunch of times, so I apologize for like not knowing more about your spiel. But like it's just like how, why, when, Hawaii, Fiji. He just casually like, yeah, it's just resorts in Fiji and Hawaii. It's just like, okay, like, how did that happen? What does that look like? You get to go for free. Like, tell me, like, what's up?
Yeah. So we did it through partnerships, which I'm sure we'll talk more about when we get to the meetup portion, but partnered
Mhm.
specifically with a number of different timeshare networks that have tons of resorts across not just the US, but abroad. And we identified that a lot of these timeshares, when most people hear about them, they're like, those are scams. People don't want to stay at them. There's a very negative connotation when you hear that. And because of that, there are a lot of owners who are either trapped in timeshares or trying to get rid of their timeshares. And because it's a fractional ownership model, there are a lot of these resorts that actually have tons of inventory because the revenue that they're making mostly comes from maintenance fees that they constantly go up on and are permanent. And so even if that resort is not fully booked, they're still going to make their money. So they're not, occupancy is not necessarily the biggest driver of their business model. And with that in mind, they also can't necessarily sell owner inventory to the direct public via a timeshare. Typically, they have a point system or a week system, and they have to reserve, sometimes it's up to 80% of the inventory inside of that resort for owners who have fractional ownership within that resort. And when they're not using that inventory, they can't sell it to the public. So we actually fill that gap. They sell that inventory to us, we manage it, and then we sell it to the public via our direct booking site and some of the OTAs like Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com. So that's kind of how everything is structured. And then we were able to deliver on a few locations and then just kept expanding. And now we're at a ton of locations. So
Got it. Okay, let me organize the questions in my mind. So when you say resorts, but then you're driving traffic to your own booking site, so does this mean that? So let's say I have a week in June. So I'm the owner. I sell you, Brian, this week in June. You put this week in June up on your site. And then when you rent it to somebody, then you let who know? The hotel know or the owner know? Or what does that, who cleans it? Give
not
me
a,
the
yeah, not
mini stuff.
exactly. So
Okay.
our relationship is directly with the resort network, not with any individuals. We work directly with the resort. So we are getting our inventory directly from them. We have access directly into their system. We can see how many units, rooms, et cetera, are available, all that kind of stuff. So we have a set price that we get the different rooms at, and it's significantly cheaper than what we charge our guests for. So it's essentially a version of rental arbitrage, but we're doing it through resorts versus your typical, multifamily unit or multifamily property.
Got it. And so then they fulfill it. So they fulfill the cleaning, they fulfill the maintenance, they fulfill anything that has to do with it, like a normal room. Because as
Yeah.
far
So
as they're concerned, it's just a normal booking. So
yeah.
you're an
So
OTA for them.
essentially, yes. And we do have different contacts, at different locations and things like that to get problems resolved. Like we can move people, like if a unit, has an issue, we can move them to another unit that's open and those kinds of things. So we do have a little bit more access and availability to do things than, your normal person. But yeah, they help us a lot on the fulfillment. They handle all the cleaning schedules, the turnovers, and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. 2 questions for you. Like, one, how far in advance do they give you the availability?
So it varies. Most of the time, it's 90 to 120 days, so
Oh,
3 or 4
wow.
months.
Yeah.
Now there are occasions
Not
where we
bad.
do get more than that, but it does kind of vary depending on seasons and locations. So it is a game of us constantly kind of managing inventory, availability, what we do have, what we don't have, and then when to kind of turn on the marketing in certain locations and when to turn it off in others and those kinds of things. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, 100%. I know Mike told me that you do this too, and I know Micah, who's been on here, it's probably been a couple of years since Micah's been on here. So how did you get into this world?
I did connect with Micah
That was you,
initially.
Micah, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and he kind of opened up my eyes to even the possibility of renting
Mhm.
timeshares, because I think most people, when they hear timeshares, they don't even know that they can be rented. And then after meeting with a number of different timeshare networks and really diving deep and learning more about these, I was like, "Yo, this can be blown wide open if you do it the right way." And that's kind of how we
Mhm.
went there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then where are all your locations?
To be completely honest, I don't know all of them off the top of my head. We're in 18 or 19 states in the US, and then Hawaii, Fiji, Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. And we fluctuate around high 200s to 300 units that we manage.
Okay, nice. And then,
That's awesome.
you take your family out there too? You
We
you
have.
know,
We've gone and
got
visited a few of these
some cheap
locations.
nights. Yeah, there we go.
Done some birthdays at some of the locations. It's fun. Went
Yeah.
to St. Thomas, spent some
Heck
time out
yeah.
there. I'm trying to get to I actually went to Cabo with, some of the short-term rental secrets people, but we stayed next door to one of the resorts that, we actually had under management, so I wanna go back out to Cabo and stay there, but yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So you got this going on, and this all kind of sounds, in a way, very like dismissively looking at it. It sounds pretty on autopilot, right? Like it sounds pretty like you got your systems worked out, and I'm probably sure there's some growing pains. And so you're like, well, I'm kind of bored, so I'm gonna start getting into developing mini. What did you call them? Mini boutique.
Micro
What was
resorts.
the term? Micro resorts.
And I didn't necessarily coin this term. I think it was coined by Isaac French, I would say. He's the first person who I've seen really use it broadly, who developed Live Oak Lake, if you guys are familiar with that. It was really big on pretty much every platform. I know one of the people who really promoted him was Cody Sanchez. She did a whole YouTube video on breaking down how to make over, I think he netted 500K within the first year in his micro resort that he built in Texas.
So what's the difference between a micro resort and a boutique hotel?
That's a great question. And I love when people ask me that, because I feel like micro resorts are ultimately the future. They kind of marry boutique hotels, the benefits that you get from boutique hotels, with the massive benefits you get from unique short-term rentals. So you're building a commercial asset, and you do get. I know you guys know all the benefits of commercial assets, especially with the valuation being tied to the net operating income. And when you have an outsized return that's being created via these unique short-term rental units, instead of having a number of consistent doors, it allows you to rapidly increase your income. So when with a micro resort, you can have, just a few, maybe 6 to 8 different units, these really custom, sometimes they're all different, whether it be tree houses, yurts, cabins, domes, and then you can build them all in this central location, and you run it similar to a hotel or boutique hotel, where all the systems are pretty much the same, but because it's a unique, stay, you're able to jack up the nightly rate a lot more than you typically would on a normal boutique hotel or STR.
Well, I love that. Hi guys. The problem with having 3 guests, and this is the first time we do this, is that I have too many questions and not enough time, right? So let us go into what I had planned for once in my life. I'm gonna follow what my plan was, and then we'll let it kind of flow from there. So for those of you that can't see, Kyle is not wearing an orange jacket because he lost it, but the other 2 guests are wearing an orange jacket, which is a symbol of your guys's meetup. So it's a nationwide. Actually, I'll let you guys talk about it. I don't even know what it is exactly. So it's a meetup. Walk us through it. What's going on?
Yeah. So to give you some background, a year ago at STR WealthCon, Allie, Kyle, and I met for the first time, even though we've all been in the mastermind, and we didn't even realize that we lived maybe like 30 minutes away from each other in Atlanta. So we were looking to get more community and ended up deciding to start a meetup there at WealthCon. 3 weeks later, we launched the first one in Atlanta and just kind of kept doing that and having a good time, building some community, and ultimately found that there was a need in the market because most of the short-term rental communities that were developed were built during COVID and were built online. So everybody was really hopping in Zooms and Clubhouse and all of these other things, but people weren't getting face to face unless it was these large conferences that were getting thrown. And more people were like, hey, how can we have our own meetup? How are you guys doing it? And we kind of put our heads together and we're like, hey, how about we create a product that makes it easy for everybody to start creating their own meetup similar to what we did? And that's ultimately how we started with the Strategic Investor, which is our meetup company.
Awesome. So where are you guys at right now? What's required? What's the, like, does somebody have to have X amount of keys or doors before they start? Do they have to
Yeah.
wear the orange jacket? What's the story?
So we don't require you to wear orange blazer. So we'll keep that coin to us. But there are requirements in order to host a meetup. So you have to have at least a year's worth of experience in the short-term rental community. I believe that we're asking for at least 5 rentals under management or ownership, so that you have enough experience. And then, yeah, we're just asking that you are obviously like a part of other communities and bring knowledge to them. I don't think, did I miss any other requirements that we have, Brian? I don't think so. And yeah, so that we also have benefits. So because we are partnered and members of ourselves of the short-term rental secrets community, we also have deals for short-term rental secrets members as well too.
Awesome. And so how many do you guys have and where are you currently right now? Like how many cities?
We're currently at 10 different locations, so 10 different cities that we're operating each month and kind of continuing to grow and scale on that front. Our goal is to eclipse 50. We want to be almost in every state by the end of the year. And I think at the pace that we're going right now, we can probably do that. So
Love that.
With the potential to also move into another country by the end of the year as well too.
oh yeah,
Mm.
don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is super exciting. Okay, so I want to be mindful of everybody's time also because we have 3 of you. So, Riley, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, just like, who are you looking to attract to these events? Like, who's like the perfect person that you guys are wanting to network with and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I can take that if you want. As far as like people coming to the meetup of who wanted to, to actually like attend, literally anybody and everybody that wants to know, that is curious about short-term rentals, all the way to as experienced as you can get, period. So like anybody and everybody that has to do with short-term rentals. So what we find is we do have either the first person who says, hey, I thought about like buying this unit. I thought about this. I have no idea where to start. Come to the group, come to the meetup, all the way to, we went to South Carolina and launched, and I met a guy that has 44 units that's under management. Him and his family do it together. And he's like, I've never really like networked before, but I'm not really sure if like what we're doing, if we're even doing it right. Like, bro, you have 44 units under management. You're doing something right, but you're also in the right place because we can all network. We can all add value. That pretty much like kind of sums up. We're not looking for like one certain person, or like, hey, you don't need to be here. Like any kind of question. I mean, we have during the meetups, we have like Q&As. And so sometimes they'll go 30 minutes to an hour of just Q&As. And we've had discussions over mindset, if you should buy, if you should not buy. We do live deal underwriting. Literally, it's just like an open floor from how do we get started all the way to how do we continue to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, do you guys give people like if somebody wants to join and host one, and let's say that don't have a great level of comfort when it comes to underwriting, do you guys help them kind of set up like these are the typical minutes of what a meetup looks like? because again, like I have hosted now a meetup with my business partner John. It's called Coffee with Investors, and it's just an overall real estate meetup. And our format is, and we've been doing it now for like 7 to 8 years. And it's just like we go around the room, you introduce yourself, you say what you're doing, what you're looking for, what you're struggling with, and then it's the open Q&A, and then it's the last 15 to 20 minutes of like just networking. So do you guys give people something like that? Is like this is the structure you do, or is like handle it, good luck?
Yeah, no, we offer a structure. So basically, we're giving people a meetup in a box. So we go through and we teach them how to go out and get local sponsorships, so they can provide like premier quality experiences to their attendees for their meetups. We give them like the full itinerary presentation to go through. We offer support weekly to our operators for help and sponsorships, deal underwriting, all of that. We're here to support them through that. Very thankful for STR Secrets, provides us a deal analyzer that we use in order to train our operators on how to underwrite deals. And so we use that in conjunction with other tools from the short-term rental industry to pull data and use at our events. And then we take it a step further, and we're looking like to strategically partner with other large short-term rental industries in order so that we can grow like even larger nationwide and support those local meetups at a deeper level.
As far as structure, though, like what we looked at in New Hampshire, guys launched up there. They actually you go one way. It's kind of like a skeleton. Like this is the way it goes, and then you just kind of fill the room because they actually did breakout sessions at the last meetup. And so they just all got around different tables and they pretty much said what you said. He is like, what are you working on today? What are you struggling with? What can we help you with? Just like we did in Boston, back in November. So, they said, hey, we tried this and it worked really great, and it's just one of those, like you fill the room. If that's what you think is, if you have like nothing but high level people in there, you might kind of alter it a little bit around that environment. If you have, a lot of people just starting out and they're just trying to get some information, as long as you kind of stay the path, then you kind of alter and form around the community that you have, that comes in. So everybody's like feng shui kind of goes with it.
Yeah, we have multiple meetups that have speakers come too. So like, they'll have a speaker come. Maybe it's a sponsor, maybe it's not. They'll come and speak about a specific topic. So that's also like gives a little dynamic to the meetups. This month at the Atlanta meetup, Dan Ribbler from Fiber Mortgage is coming to speak. So that's going to be huge for our March meetup in Atlanta. And then I know that this previous month, Northwest Arkansas, they had a speaker come in and talk about design with their attendees. So that was really cool. So, all different facets from the SDR community are coming in and getting time and networking and getting good, airtime essentially in front of people that are going to actually be there, not just their guests, but also, possibly even the people that are going to purchase their programs or partner with them strategically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if a person is listening to this, is this an extra hustle where they can make money, or is this mostly like reputation and then just letting the market know and becoming a person of interest? What's the play?
I wouldn't say that the goal with the meetup is necessarily to make money. Our goal is to develop community. And to your point, I think as a byproduct of that, you do become kind of that key person of interest. You're able to develop deeper relationships, which typically leads to more income. But our main goal is from the company side, is to support these people within our network to build and develop these strong short-term rental communities so that we can educate and elevate kind of the industry as well as the people who are a part of it, because we know that it's unique within short-term rentals where the better each individual operator is, the better it helps all of us as a whole. Whereas that's very unique, in most other industries, that's not the case. So if we have a good vehicle with these meetups and a good structure to drive that growth and that knowledge within the space, then we can actually enhance the entire industry within not just the small communities that we're in, but nationwide.
Dude, I think that's so true, especially with just like all the regulations that are coming out, and like short-term rentals are so bad, for the economy. They're so bad for the neighborhoods. It's because there are a few like, bad hosts that are out there that don't care about their property. They're only in it for, like the big hedge funds that are buying short-term rentals and then just handing them to Vacasa and Evolve to manage them, and they don't manage them. And so the more that we can educate these smaller boutique property management co-hosts, hosts, the more that this industry is going to grow. And I think
Absolutely.
it's like Mike said this on Clubhouse. I remember it was like 3 years ago. Somebody asked him, like, where do you see the future of short-term rental management? And he's, or co-hosting. And he said, I see the bigger players in the industry getting smaller and smaller and smaller because these mom and pop like boutique hotels or boutique property management groups or co-hosts are going to come in, and you don't need that many properties to run a very nice business, and a profitable business that doesn't take you up a lot of time if you have the right systems. So you guys are teaching that at these meetups 100% for free. And then you get the networking piece, the community piece too. Cause like being a short-term rental host on an island is not fun. Like,
No.
It's a lonely world, man. It is a lonely world for sure.
Oh,
And yeah. So as we gear up towards the last question, actually, right, there was a perfect little layup talking about just the community aspect. And it's a question that Riley asked first a couple of weeks ago. And I've like just decided this is going to become one of our questions every show, which is like, how do you cultivate balance in your life? And this is going to be interesting, right? Because Brian can talk about on his own, and then Ali and Kyle can talk about like as a family that works together. How do you cultivate balance, spend time with the kids? Because you guys have a bunch of kids, and like just what does that look like? Brian, go first, and then we'll go to Ali and Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, balance for me, I think a lot of times is getting out of the day-to-day of all of the stuff that we do from a business standpoint, the STR standpoint, and just kind of giving yourself the time and the space to really relax, to think, to figure things out, process. And that's kind of how I always find balance. I like to try to take at least one international trip every single year and for a couple of weeks at a time to really find that balance. Last year, I went to Nigeria. I spent the majority of back half of last year and the beginning of this year there. And it was exactly what I needed before I came back to really hit the ground running this year. And then this year, I'm actually gearing up not only to go back to Nigeria, but also to go to Japan. So that's kind of how I try to find some balance in the middle of everything.
For us, there's a few ways that we find balance. I think for us is number one with a family. Like just we've started to get very savage about our schedule and our time. And I've been working, especially myself, like over the past few weeks, and it's been really nice to, just take and decide when I'm going to serve people and then when I'm going to serve myself and my family, full out. And that's been really great for me. So I think that that would be like the biggest thing I could definitely say on that is like, look at your schedule, look at your week, and decide how you want to serve who on what days. And then you're just very clear. And additionally, I think that I've had a lot of help with that with the mindset coaching that been a part of and like realizing the abundance that we have. We have an abundant amount of time, abundant amount of energy, and not feeling guilt when I know that there is an abundance and I have a place to put that in my life. So that's big for me. And then we do the same thing as Brian. I think that Kyle and I went through a really hard run before we started in this industry where we worked our asses off. And we didn't have anything to feel like we showed for it or didn't go anywhere. And we seen everybody else going and doing. So we try to like take that time and go and do those things to level and reset and put ourselves back in that mindset.
Yeah, love that.
I
Kyle,
would.
anything to add?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I have like a different than you too, like a different thing to add to that as far as the other side of the spectrum. So, you said that we have a lot of kids. We have 2 kids, great kids, but,
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a relative term. Yeah.
that's
I would say
from 0 to 2.
from 0
That's
That's a lot.
yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
that's a lot.
So, I would say a big thing a lot of us are doing this to get out of a W-2 job or we're trying to make a better life or whatever for our family. And a lot of people have kids. So when you look at like, well, I don't have time because I have to do this with my kids or I have to do this without my kids. If you can learn to like take your kids everywhere and involve your kids with everything you do, not everything, but you know what I mean? Get them involved, get them interested. Don't force them into anything, but include them and teach them. And so when you do that, like for us with the hotel took a lot of my time because I was the guy doing absolutely everything from raising money, renovations and all that. And, running crews and stuff. And so our 7-year-old took a really, really big liking to the hotel. She wants to be like a hotel manager. She wants to be the cleaner. She wants to do all this stuff. And instead of saying, no, you have to stay here, no, you can't do this or whatever, kind of embodying that and then saying, okay, let's kind of continue that interest. So we were at the hotel on Sunday cleaning rooms because we had a staffing issue. She came with us and she was like a huge help. And we're like, hey, like, let's keep this moving. And so it allows like the work-life integration, not the work-life balance. So, bringing the family in, that's a huge thing that we've learned, a massive thing I think we've learned. And back to the time schedule. Yeah. Like we have, I talk to Riley a lot. We talk to Shogun. We talk to in our community, we talk a lot about like time scheduling and getting super savage. Brian is super savage by his time, massively savage. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. So really kind of go into that. That's really big of what we've learned. That's a big one.
I love the distinction of integration versus balance. And I love how you guys, to me, again, don't have kids, but anytime the people tell me, well, I can't because of kids, my response is always then just find idols or people to inspire you that don't have the bullshit belief that you have, and then instead do life with their kids and thrive with their kids, and just look at that reality and that truth versus whatever bullshit you're telling yourself, right? So I've loved this. It was very interesting to have 3 people. That was fun. Hope the listeners enjoyed it. Where can people learn more about the meetup, you guys, the hotels, the resorts, all the shit that you guys do? So it's so much stuff. I'm like looking at my notes. I'm like, and this and that and this and that. I'm like, you guys do quite a bit.
Yeah. So the main thing we want to do is we would definitely want to drive people to our meetups, so they can go online to thestrategicinvestors.com. If you're interested in doing a meetup, there's a sign up form there. You can sign up, schedule a meeting with us, and we're excited to help get you started on that. And then for us, you can just find all of us on socials for sure.
Yeah, just join the community, meetup.com. We have a lot of stuff on meetup.com, strategicinvestors.com. Like follow us on Facebook, on IG, like just building that entire community of just go to a meetup. Like even if it's 2 or 3 hours away, just go to one. So, that's all I would ask on that side.
Awesome.
Brian, what is your company? How do people go to Fiji? Because I want to go to Fiji.
Elite Escapes. So that's Elite Escapes Travel. And then on Instagram, it's eliteescapes.travel. You can check us out there.
I forgot to join that, by the way. I mean, follow that. For us, our hotel is the Mallard Hotel. So if you want to stay in the Blue Ridge area, on Blue Ridge Mountains, stay at the Mallard. And then we have Cherokee Rose Homes is our management company as well. So we're all over the place though. Short-term rental secrets, we're all in and out of there. Allie and I coach there. Brian's part of the community as well. I'm sure you can find my phone number somewhere online if you really wanted to try. Unfortunately, it's everywhere.
Love it. It was great hanging out with you guys. And we're going to do the last question a little bit different just to be mindful of time. So if you could share one word that signifies your number one secret to success with short-term rentals or boutique hotels or resorts, what would be the one word that you would use?
That's a good one.
I would say care.
Good. Going last is worse, guys. So whoever gets quicker to it, it's gotta be better for you.
I've got 2 now, so I know no matter what you do in life, mindset.
Okay. Care, mindset. Miss Allie.
Determination.
Okay.
Line.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Well, it was great spending time with you. To our listeners, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been thinking about, or if you've been feeling lonely and you need people to hang out with, a meetup is a great spot to do it. How to do it, like-minded people, all the good stuff. I've raised a ton of money from our meetup, which has been the greatest value that I got from it, and then also serving other people. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to at least look at it and see, you know what I mean? Just don't knock it before you at least look into it. Exactly. Awesome. Riley, any last minute thoughts?
No, that was great. Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Ciao, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.